Hey queer folks and friends, welcome home. My name's Madison Canary and I am the Sour Beer Queer, and I am so freaking excited to finally do a beer review of the first sour beer on this channel. You guys, the name in the title is sour beer, and I have yet to do a sour beer. Now, I was introduced to sour beer about 5 years ago. I was just wandering around drinking IPAs like a perfect schmuck, and one of my students, whose name is Luke, he actually runs Meta Brewing, started introducing me to this concept of spontaneous fermentation, open air fermentation, and the amazing world of sour beers. It did take me a beer or two to kind of get into it, but once I was into it, I have been obsessed with it. I have not lost my focus on it for about 5 years now. I definitely would not call myself an expert, but I most definitely would call myself an enthusiast, an appreciator, a lover, and just a very passionate person about sour beer. What I think is really beautiful about it is all the different levels and all the different complexities that can go into the process. So they, at any point during the process, can change it in so many ways that no one sour beer that you ever have is going to taste the same. So as I go throughout this channel, I hope to review many more sour beers. I really look forward to introducing you guys to some different breweries and some different names that I've got to know over the years. The first one I'm going to review, I actually don't really know this brewery yet. I was at High Times and just kind of went into their sour section, and I noticed they had 2 shelves of Black Project. So this is Black Project's Apex. And all their bottles, all their cans were pretty reasonably priced. They looked like they had a lot of different varieties, and so I just kind of grabbed one just in the interest of seeing what they were all about. As I've kind of poked my way around the interwebs, I've noticed people saying that maybe this isn't their best ever sour, so I am not going to judge them by the sour, but I'm still really excited to try it. So what I'm hearing about Apex is that it is a summer patio tour de force. Bask in the refreshing glow of juicy, tangy orange. A gentle kiss of cinnamon on the finish provides inspiration for another delectable sip. Now, you all know me and my love of quality marketing. That's some quality marketing. Whoever writes your copy, Black Market, they're earning their keep. As I was poking around, I also headed over to blackprojectbeer.com, so their website, and there's a pretty cool letter from the owner, James Howlett. And so in this letter, he says, every Black Project beer is fermented with microbes captured from the local environment via a cool ship or foraged from nature. We believe this creates a beer that is unrivaled in complexity. In fact, our microbe cultures are purposefully allowed to evolve from batch to batch, creating variations and interesting twists from different releases of the same beer. Now, this really caught my eye because this is exactly what I love about sour beer. As they allow the microbes to develop, as they allow the different microbes to do their job, as they allow the fermentation to happen, it will change the complexities and change the whole flavor profile of beer. Just to give you guys a real basic line about what kind of sets sour beer apart, and believe me, you guys, this is an in-depth way to go. There's a lot of science, there's a lot to understand behind the sour beer process. So I want to kind of give you guys little bits as we go along, instead of doing a whole video where I'm just dumping all of this knowledge on you. I don't have all the knowledge yet myself. I'm still learning so much. And 2, I think I just would rather keep it a little more interesting. So the science of sour is that many sour beers are fermented in full or in part using a strain of Brettanomyces, or Brett for short. So if you guys have any relationship with wine, you've probably heard of Brett or Brettanomyces. You open up a bottle of wine, the cork is really colored, you smell and taste something that's just kind of gone a little wrong. In wine, that typically is not something you want. Now, I must admit that I have had a bottle where I was with the person who said that this is turned because it's full of Brett, and I enjoyed the heck out of it. So I think it is still possible to enjoy wine that has that Brett in it. However, go figure, I like sour beer. And they very purposefully put Brett into sour beer. Now, this Brett is what eats up the sugars and creates alcohol. I also thought this was really interesting, and this is just from beerandbrewing.com, and it's a little bit they have about sour beer and the sour beer spectrum. But I thought this was really interesting. What our palates perceive as sour is really a taste response to the acidity level in a beer, namely acids that microbial bacteria such as Pediococcus and Lactobacillus create. So Pediococcus and Lactobacillus, we've probably heard those before as well. They get their way into the beer and feed on what's left over after fermentation and create lactic acid. They can also create acetic acid or vinegar, which it can be desirable at low levels but is generally considered an off flavor. That just starts to show you a little bit of what sour beer brewers are dealing with. They are playing with the beer when they start fermenting, they're playing with the fermentation process, they're playing with when they fruit, they're playing with how long they ferment, how long they fruit, when they finish it, what they put it in, what they age it in, if they age it at all. You can really go a lot of places with sour beer. Now, sour beer has a bunch of different types. And from what I can tell, what I'm drinking here is what we would just consider an American sour. So an American sour or an American wild sour says on the beerandbrewing.com, it says style guidelines for American sours are intentionally nebulous because American brewers are still rewriting the rules, which is pretty cool. Many are inspired by traditional sour styles, which are used as a jumping off point to experiment with techniques such as hops additions, racking sour beers in wine or spirit barrels, blending together batches, all kinds of different stuff. So balanced acidity and an overall harmonious complexity are desirable in most examples of sours, as in the absence of jarring off flavors or obvious flaws. Otherwise, the possibilities are wide open. So as we get ready to crack into this beer, this is what I would be looking for. Balanced acidity and an overall harmonious complexity, an absence of jarring or off flavors. So the sour is always going to be strong enough. There shouldn't be anything that then kind of punches you again. And no obvious flaws. Now, I have yet to taste a sour beer that I felt was flawed. That's just me. And I'm really excited to try this one. So again, we are diving into Apex by Black Project. This says sour ale with orange and cinnamon. Oh, it smells like cinnamon for sure on the nose. Y'all know I have to take the first sip out of the can. Required. God, you guys. I love sour beer. I love it so much. So that first sip just gave me a whole lot of sour. It gave me a good old punch in the face. And nothing could make me happy coming from a can. Okay, let's take our first official sip, shall we? Look at that beautiful coloring. It is a little hazy. It's not exactly see-through, orange, caramel, yellow. Now that it's gotten some air, I definitely have some more orange on the nose than cinnamon when it was out of the can for sure. Oh yeah. Oh. I mean, if what I am hearing is that this is not the best sour that they do, then I cannot wait to have everything else that this brewery does. Black Project, you know what's up. I'm definitely getting a good amount of carbonation. So when it first hits, it has that nice effervescence, which sometimes you can lose when you can. When I was checking out their website, they did mention that they are newer to the canning process. They just started canning, I think, in the last year. And it makes sense. It can be harder to can a sour, and they are really doing a great job keeping that freshness and acidity level up. So I'm getting a strong level of carbonation when I first hit it. Then it basically, to me, turns into an orange creamsicle. That would probably mean there's a little bit of lactobacillus in there, because that would be that more dairy-based microbe. But I'm getting a strong orange, almost like Orange Crush, if you remember that from when you were a kid. Taking a strong drink of Orange Crush, and then it kind of washes over me and smooths out. So I get sour, orange, and then a nice smooth finish. I can see how it says that cinnamon leaves you wanting another sip, because I can't seem to not get another sip. Oh yeah. Absolutely. Cinnamon at the end. It's that like dryness of cinnamon. A little bit of like the flavor of cinnamon is left after some kind of air hits my mouth after I'm done drinking it. Wow. Black Project, you really know what's up. So, friendliness scale. Now, if you guys are newer, my very official way of rating all things that I consume is the friendliness scale. So can I go to someone that says, I don't like this kind of beverage or this thing, and hand it to them and have them kind of like it in either way? And I would say with this one, I would put it pretty high on the friendliness scale. Now, since there is a strong orange and there is a smooth finish, I would definitely consider this one easy to handle. It is still very much a sour. If you are a sour fan, I still very much recommend it. But it's not so sour that it just knocks you back and gives you nothing else. My personal favorite sour of all time, and I will do a full review of it, I guarantee you, is Sour in the Rye. That comes from Brewery True here in Placentia. And I love Sour in the Rye, but it is truly all sour. So I would never hand that to even someone that says they like sours. I still give them a small pour first, because you really have to know you love sour in order to finish that. This, even if someone didn't like sours, I'd hand it to them and I'd feel like they would definitely be able to drink it. They'd definitely be able to appreciate it. So I believe this is a 5.7 percentage. I think that's what I saw earlier. It doesn't say on the can. I believe it's about a 5.6, 5.7 percentage, which to me is great for a sour. Sours tend to be lower in alcohol, although I have noticed over time that brewers are starting to brew them higher and higher in alcohol. My assumption would be that there's a call for the market for beers to be a little higher in alcohol. I know that I definitely am one who loves beers to be higher in alcohol, especially because a sour is so complex and tends to maybe have some sweetness, some sugar in it. I really appreciate when then I'm not drinking 6 of them because they're 4%, trying to get any kind of buzz for the night. So overall, 2 thumbs up. Go for it. Cannot recommend highly enough. Black Project by Apex. If you enjoyed this video, for sure give me a thumbs up and hit subscribe, and I will continue to feature some amazing sour beers as the time goes on. If there's ever any beers you want me to try, leave them in the comments. Shoot me a message on Instagram. I'm the Sour Beer Queer on Instagram as well. So hopefully I will see you guys in the next video, and have a great day.